the university's admissions centre acknowledges and pays respect to past, present, and future traditional custodians and elders of this nation, and the continuation of cultural, spiritual, and educational practices of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples. Hello and welcome. My name's Trudy, and tonight we'll be discussing topics including what is UAC, key facts about the ATAR, who can apply via UAC, and everything applications, including preferences and offers. So what is UAC? UAC, or the University's Admissions Centre, processes applications for 29 different institutions across New South Wales and the ACT. We also administer applications for our access schemes, which I'll talk about in length in a few moments. Of course, the one thing we are most known for is the fact that we calculate the ATAR for all New South Wales HSC students. So let's look at a few key points about the ATAR. The ATAR, of course, is a rank, not a mark or a score. It will not define you as a student for the rest of your academic career. Also, the ATAR is just telling us about your overall position amongst all other students in the state. You can't control your ATAR, of course. You can only control how well you are performing. So it's wise to keep control on of your studies. To be eligible for an ATAR, you must have 10 units of study, which includes 2 units of English and no more than 2 units of Category B courses. For those students taking on Category B courses, you must sit, of course, the HSC exam if you want it to be included as part of the calculation of your ATAR. Another thing students need to understand is that UAC doesn't use HSC marks to calculate the ATAR. We use scaled marks. Now, scaling is just the first step in the process of calculating the ATAR, but scaling is used to create a more even playing field so no student is neither advantaged or disadvantaged because of their course choice. So, let's talk about what the ATAR is used for. The ATAR is used for universities to rank and select students into their courses. If you consider that the selection rank for each course is about supply and demand, then the ATAR is the one way universities can control the number of students that they can take into each course. Now, many students these days say, well, many universities don't use the ATAR for entry. However, those students are talking about early entry, where Year 11 results are being considered. Once again, it's still about the numbers. And for many early entry schemes, they cap, or the universities cap, the number of places taken up by early entry applicants, and or still require a minimum ATAR. So, whatever you do in terms of your studies, please perform to the best of your ability so that you can cover all bases when it comes to being selected into the courses that you're wanting to study. So who can apply through UAC? A domestic student is someone who is, of course, an Australian or New Zealand citizen, a permanent resident of Australia, or a permanent resident who has a humanitarian visa. All other students are classified as international students and should apply through the UAC International Portal. Each admission cycle, of course, runs by a series of key dates. For university entry for 2025, applications, of course, open this morning, the 3rd of April 2024. There are a number of key dates that students should follow to have a successful application. So the next important date after today's opening will be the 16th of September. This is when the Schools Recommendation Scheme, or SRS, applications will close. If you're not applying for the Schools Recommendation Scheme, then your next important date will be the 30th of September. This is what we call early bird close. This has got nothing to do with early entry, of course. This is just when the application fee will change from being an early bird fee of $80 to being a standard fee of over $200. So we do recommend that all students or all university potential students apply by this date. The next important date for students will be the 1st of November. This is the close of preference to be considered for an SRS offer, which will be released on the 8th of November. After that, the next important date is the 18th of December. This is when your HSC and ATAR will be released to you. Then, of course, you have until midnight on the same day, that is Wednesday, the 18th of December, to get your preferences in order to be considered in the first ATAR-based offer round, which will happen on the 23rd of December. After that, we have an offer round in January, which of course is another main offer round where we give lots and lots of different offers. And the close of preference for that day, for that offer round is the 2nd of January. Then the offers will be released on the 9th of January. And on that 9th of January offer round, you'll find that all medicine offers will be released. And I know a lot of students will be waiting for that one. So now let's talk about applications. Applications open online this morning, the 3rd of April. Students from New South Wales or the ACT should have received an email at around 9 a.m. this morning with their UAC PIN and information about how they should apply. Students applying will need their NESA or BSSS number and their UAC PIN to apply or to actually list on the UAC website when they're applying. All interstate and IB students will also need their student numbers, but of course they will need their student numbers from either the IBO or their interstate board authority. Their PIN, or your PIN I should say, will be your date of birth, which is day, month. Students will also need their USI, the unique student identifier, to add to their application. This identifying code will link you with your course and your HECSTET. Students must, of course, apply by the 16th of November if you're applying for the school's recommendation scheme, or by the 30th of September if you are not going to be applying for early entry. So, of course, when applications opened, so did our access schemes. So let's talk about the first one, the school's recommendation scheme. School's recommendation scheme is a centralised early entry application through UAC, where students can be considered based on their Year 11 results and school's recommendation. If you're a New South Wales or ACT student, all you'll need to do is submit that application. Once that has been done, UAC will be able to retrieve your Year 11 results directly from NESA or the BSSS, and then we will contact your school to do their recommendation. So it's as simple as that. Students from interstate, or if you're doing the IB, will have to upload their Year 11 results after they've submitted this application. And once again, UAC will contact your school directly to do the recommendation. For full information about the school's recommendation scheme, please check the UAC website, and we will be hosting a webinar about this scheme for later on in the year. Of course, there are additional direct applications for early entry with many different institutions, and UAC recommends that you have a look at all of them and submit applications in all environments to widen your options. The next access scheme I'd like to talk about is the Educational Access Scheme, and this is for students who've experienced some difficulties through years 11 and 12 where it has affected your school grades. The Access Scheme application is part of your uni application, and there are several topics of disadvantage that you can apply under, ranging from long-term medical or disability right through to, of course, refugee status. Students are advised to look through each and every type of disadvantage and select the ones that, of course, are related to your situation. You will need to supply supporting documents with this particular application so that UAC can assess and advise you on ATAR Day whether you've been made eligible for consideration under this scheme. If made eligible, it may just help you get over the line into your desired degree. Now, UAC, of course, will be having another webinar on this later on in the year, and I hope you join us for that as well. The other access scheme that I'd like to tell you about is the Equity Scholarships. And Equity Scholarships is about money, of course, And of course, this is for students who have financial difficulties, therefore, in general, would be on Centrelink benefits for that consideration of scholarship. There are other disadvantages that you can be considered under, and once again, you will need to supply supporting documentation. Now, this application is not just open to Year 12 students, but also to continuing university students. So if it's not you right now, but you find yourself in some financial hardship through your degree, you are encouraged to apply through UAC for this particular scholarship. In saying that, universities have millions of dollars to give away, and these scholarships are, of course, applied through directly with each institution that you are considering. So please apply. Now, let's talk about a few top tips on how you should choose your course preferences. One, of course, we would certainly encourage you to investigate all course possibilities. So what does that mean? Meaning you may have a dream course in mind, but what if you don't get there? What next? What other courses are out there that pique your interest? Also, explore all universities that offer the courses of interest to keep your options open. Number 3 would be to look up the course content for more in-depth understanding of what the course is about. Number 4, attend the university open days and ask questions about the course and university facilities, and listen to lecturers talk about the details of what you will be studying. So now you know how you should be considering your preferences. Let's talk about adjustment factors. These are additional points to boost your selection rank. Adjustment factors or points are used in conjunction with the ATAR to change your selection rank, which universities use to rank and select students into their courses. There are 2 adjustments that students don't have to apply for. These are subject adjustments, a HSC course that relates to the university degree, for example, Maths Advanced and Engineering, or location adjustments, meaning you live within a catchment of a uni. So adjustment points are given. These adjustments sit on top of your ATAR to change your selection rank into a particular course at a particular university, and students should research any adjustment factors they may be eligible for. Once a student knows what they may be eligible for, they should then, of course, check the lowest selection rank, or LSR, for the course they wish to be considered for, then adjust their course preferences before the change of preference closing date. So let's talk about preferences. Students can list up to 5 course preferences at any one time on their UAC application. You should always list your course preferences in order of your choice, of course, with your dream course being your first preference. Students can change their preferences between offer rounds if they wish to be considered for another course offering. But first, you must accept the offer that you got and then remove that offer from your preference list. If you don't remove the original offer, it will block you from any other offer in the next offer round. So let's talk about offers. Students, or you, can only receive 1 offer per offer round. There are 2 offer rounds per month from November through to March, and November is when early entry offers for Year 12 students will be given. And for December round 2, all offers will be based on the ATAR. If you accept an offer, you can still be considered again. However, as advised earlier, you will need to remove the current offer because it acts as a block. Students should first accept the offer straight away so it doesn't lapse. Remove the current offer from their preference list, and then rearrange their preferences before the close of preference date. If you would like to be considered again, then you will do the same process. Accept the offer, remove it from the preference list, rearrange them by the close of preference date, and be considered again for all 5 preferences. Thank you for attending this evening's webinar. I hope it helps to guide you through the admissions cycle. If you want to keep up with what's happening, hit the subscribe button to receive notifications about all upcoming webinars. Once again, thank you for joining our webinar.